But really what we try to take away from that Oregon practice is never having any downtime. We have a 2-hour practice script for the most days, and it's my responsibility as a head coach to make sure everybody stays on time. I don't want our kids to get worn out from practice.
Welcome to another episode of The Art of Practice presented by GoRout. We've done a series of these in the off season to get you thinking about organizing your practices, and we want to come back for a few episodes here in season just as a reminder and to get some tips from some of the best coaches around the country in terms of organizing practice. We're excited to have Patrick Walsh back. He's the head coach at Serra High School in California. These guys have done a great job. Coach has been on our podcast several times this off season, and we certainly enjoy having him back here. We're back for the Art of Practice series, and we're going to have a few of these throughout the season, focus on some in-season details and ideas for practice. And joining us today is the head coach at Serra High School in San Mateo, California, Patrick Walsh, who's been on actually a few times here this season. So, Patrick, great to have you back again.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. I'm always humbled and honored to be a part of the show. You're doing a great job, Coach.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So, Coach, I think you and I are alike in that back when I was coaching, especially at the high school level, the thing I loved the most, especially in spring, was to be able to go out, watch spring practices at the college level and see how the best at it were doing it. Because I think when you look at those, boy, are they really keying in on how do we be efficient in practice? That was something that really drove my studies. And I realized, hey, I can't exactly be what they do 100%. They're different numbers, different support, et cetera. But there's a lot to learn from it. And I know for you, you've learned a lot and have modeled after Oregon and how they practice. So tell us about what led you to that and how that's affected your philosophy on practice.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about football is there's no secrets, it seems like. It's a very sharing culture. Of course, these podcasts and coaching resources they're abundant. And like most staffs, we try to pick a spot to go to every year. And with my relationship with Tosh Lupoy, the defensive coordinator up there at Oregon, also at De La Salle Spartan, got to throw out the hat to the De La Salle Spartans. But he's been an open door policy for us to go up there. Coach Lanning is extremely welcoming for our staff. And with those visits, we've learned that if you watch an Oregon practice, I had an opportunity to go to Georgia as well this year in off season. Like just the level of efficiency of those practices is absolutely stunning. And we're trying to be the best we can be at Serra, be one of the elite programs in the country. So why not model ourselves after one of the elite college programs in the country at Oregon? So the difference now between Oregon and Serra, and I would say all of us here in high school, is the amount of resources Coach Lanning has at his disposals to run a practice is on a different level. I mean, the operation of watching an Oregon practice, they practice, they talk about practice, they schedule practice. It's incredible the amount of effort that goes. It's a production. From the film crew to the what I call meerkats, or to the student managers, to the medical personnel, to the GAs. It's just absolutely, it's almost like a movie script every day. The referees are there. It's just absolutely great. But really what we try to take away from that Oregon practice is never having any downtime. And me as the head coach, that's going to be my responsibility to work with our staff. We have a 2-hour practice for the most days. And it's my responsibility as the head coach to make everybody stays on time. It's very, very easy to go over in every single period. Well, if you have 10 periods and you're going over 5 minutes in every period, your 2-hour practice is now a 3-hour practice. Being that we play 4-quarter games in our league and in our schedule, which is ruthless, I don't want our kids to get worn out from practice. So being efficient, staying on time, almost being kind of a jerk about it. You know, Coach, I'm sorry. In that 10-minute period, if you didn't get your job done, then that's on you. We need to move on to the next one. And that's kind of what I've learned from Oregon and what we try to do at Serra on a daily basis.
So looking at it from a structural standpoint and what the periods look like from the day, I know one of the things you mentioned is you're going to get out there and go right into team. What benefit do you see that having by doing that right away, getting into team, which a lot of us need for later?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of like stretching lines and just walking off the sidelines and kind of limping into practice. It's not a good tone setter. So we'll do like a 5-minute step over bags, just kind of an individual period to get a little bit loose. And then we're right into team for team takeoff is what we call it. It's not a full period. We're not going to the ground. As a matter of fact, we never go to the ground at Serra in any period, but it's more of a teach period, but it's also 11 on 11. There's a little bit of excitement going. Kids are talking to one another. Coaches are kind of getting into it. So we're not limping off the sideline. We're into it. We're playing Folsom this week. It's like, okay, here we go. You want to play Rider Lions and the Folsom Bulldogs? They're going to go full speed, tempo. You have your mind right from play one, or it'll be 14-0 before you can blink. So our practice structure really helps doing that with that team takeoff period to start. And then we'll jump right into a flex period, which would be for both sides of the ball, teaching period. And that's a 10-minute period. Then we do our special teams period, which is 10 minutes a day. We'll do kickoff return. We pick our special team of the day. And then we're into individual. And our individual block is 30 minutes. It's kind of a longer block. It's not just individual for that time. It could be group work, but it's a 30-minute period on both sides of the ball for our guys to really get into the details of the game plan, of what we're supposed to be doing that week from a technical perspective. And we can do some, like 2-minute drill, 4-minute drill on offense. Defense this week, we're working on getting lined up, getting the call as quick as possible because we're playing a massive tempo team this week. So those are the times where we really kind of hone in on both sides of the balls and what's going on. Now, I will have to say, Coach, we are a full platoon team. We have an offensive unit and a defensive unit, and we're doing that this year. Generally, we have 90 kids on the team. This year, we have 65 kids on the team. So we're still platooned, but we also share players that are two-way players. But we really, really support the platoon structure from a coaching perspective. Our coaches are experts on their side of the ball. And then the players that are just playing offense or just playing defense slowly get better throughout the year by getting all the reps either on offense or defense. But we're also not so dogmatic in our approach where our best players play two ways. It's still high school football after all. So that's kind of the base structure. Then we get into our team periods, some one-on-ones, 7-on-7, and then we're done for the day.
So a couple of things I want to follow up on. You mentioned within that group work, maybe doing a 4-minute period. And, we certainly talk quite a bit of how do we go faster in practice, but that is a critical time in the game, that 4-minute period, whether you're on the right side of it or the wrong side of it. So how do you make that period work? And you're talking about efficiency. The last thing you want is, okay, we're going to stand here and watch a clock for so long, but how do you simulate that in practice?
Yeah, so that would be one of our compete periods. So each day we'll have a compete period where it's offense versus defense, where we're not playing against De La Salle or Bosco, that basically playing against each other, where we can get into game mode. So the sidelines are, we're split. And the coaches are making signals on the call. There's only 22 players on the field. I'll stand out there and a meerkat will spot the ball. But that's our time, Coach, where we can actually get some game kind of reps and experience to simulate the game. So in that time, there's 65 players on the team. Then there's 22, do the math, 43 players there. But they're engaged in the game with run, pass, ball calls. We're doing personnel changes and that sort of stuff. So if it's the 4-minute drill period, we might be in several different offensive and defensive sets. So that's kind of using those compete periods as also 2-minute drill period, 4-minute drill period, 3rd down period where we're competing. It's 3rd and 1. Then we move it back to 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. We compete. We'll do up down for push-ups for whatever side loses at the end of it. And our kids have really, really responded to those compete periods. Standing around and coaching against the other and doing your game plan against the other team, it can get monotonous for the guys. So we like having that compete period in our practice plan every day, even though we are sacrificing, here's what De La Salle does. At some point, if we don't do what we do well and the kind of know thyself stuff, we're not going to be a good football team anyway. So that's been real positive for us. I strongly recommend that for programs to do a 10-minute compete period every day.
Coaches, if you're looking to maximize reps and create a game-like tempo in practice, look no further than GoRout. With instant play call delivery, real-time adjustments, and seamless integration with your existing playbooks, GoRout allows your team to get the most out of every rep. Visit GoRout.com today to see how top programs across the country are using it to level up their practices. The platoon obviously has advantages. You're doing it with 65 this year, which does get thin with numbers and injury
Definitely.
here or there certainly can change it. But I think it's all in how you think about those two-way players. And I know a lot of coaches I've talked to will kind of take the 1.5. You're first on this side, you're going to be second on this side, but we're going to get you a substitute over there. How do you figure that out? What do you and your coaching staff do to work that? Because especially this time of the year, you hit a hot night, like you have to find ways to get those guys off the field.
Absolutely. So every Sunday night, we have a staff meeting where we talk about our two-way players. What are the needs of the week? Playing De La Salle, can be 22 personnel, split back veer, counter, punch you in the mouth type of guy might require a different type of player to defend that. So if we're talking about an offensive player that plays defense as well, as you're saying, the 1.5 model, that person may not be used as much that week. And we'll discuss that every Sunday night in our staff meeting. And the inverse is true too. On offense, we may not need a guy as much in one week as another. And it's communication is the direct answer, Coach. communicating it. We're playing Folsom this week, which is 4 or 5 wide. They're in empty. They have a 5-star quarterback. Like, we need all of our athletes that can cover people, which could be our running backs and our receivers, to be on the other side of the field. So Sunday night, it's going to be like, it's maybe 1.75 time for these guys that need to cover 5 Division I wide receivers. And that's just the reality of this game. Whereas the next week, De La Salle will be different. And I think just communicating, making an emphasis, like Giovanni Henlon, okay? He's our starting defensive player, okay? He can play corner, he can play nickel. He's a very, very impactful player. We have a running back. He's going to be halftime on offense, but full-time on defense this week, 100%. Whereas the following week against De La Salle, he might be 100% on offense and half the time on defense because we don't need him out there covering tight ends. We have other corners that can play. So I think really communication is king on that. And what we, sharing the players, like coaches can get territorial over my guys and that, like, it's a we thing. We're all trying to have more points than Folsom. So communicating that, working together as a staff, making sure there's not team within a platoon team, like the defense or the offense, like we're all the Serra Padres.
Yeah, I think that's the important point in especially high school football, is to keep that team mentality. And one of my former players, the first year head coach, and they played their first game this last week, and I had suggested to him to go into that game with, it's going to be a hot night, with a substitution plan. Had a decent amount of guys going both ways. And I said, my recommendation is plan this thing out, and you can't put it on you. You're also calling the offense. Have a coach who can come to you. He said, you almost chart it out and say, hey, this series, so-and-so gets off. And they didn't do it. And I'm watching the game, and mid-third quarter, 3-4 guys go down with cramps. Now the guys on the field aren't necessarily the ones they want together. Like, one way or the other, I think sometimes you're going to be forced to do it. So I think having a plan, keeping it within your control, has a lot of benefits.
That's a great point. And that's a scary thing. It's scary. Like, what you recommended to your first year head coach is frightening, because as a head coach or as a coach, like, wait, so you're kind of telling me, like, at times my best guys aren't going to be on the field, but having the insight and the vision to think about, wait, my best guys are not going to be on the field in the fourth quarter because I burnt them out in the second quarter. That takes a lot of courage. And it also takes a lot of kind of what we call the bottom of the fire effort, which is like, if you have 65 kids on your team, like, what are players 50 through 65 offering to the team? If they can give 2 or 3 reps, or even in the middle, 30 to 45, can they still and help the team during that time? Then maybe those guys will all be available in the fourth quarter in these hot early games. So it's a great point, but on the empathize with your buddy, your coach, like, it's scary to actually do that.
And I know if I was in his shoes when I was that age in my first head coaching job, I probably would have discarded that piece of advice too, and learned really quick that night. But I think the other thing too is what I've seen coaches who do this. A prime example here, I think this guy's done a great job. He's been on the podcast multiple times. Mike Elder here in Ohio, Avon, Ohio, they are the defending Division II state champs, has taken that approach with his guys too. And I think what you see with his teams is they get so many guys better and better over the course of the season. And those guys might not become starters by the end, but you know what? The next year they are, and they're just a machine. Like, it does have other benefits too, that you're worried about. Can this kid compete with Folsom in game 1 as an example, right? That's a big game, but those reps in meaningful situations are much better than, hey, we're going to give you some mop-up time because we got a running clock.
Coach, you're so right. And just that concept of, if I play guard every single day for 13, 14 weeks, I'm going to get better at playing guard. Okay. It also, this kind of philosophy allows you to do a little bit more on offense and a little bit more on defense. So your schemes can be a little bit more intricate, if you will. Whereas if you have true full two-way players and the amount of time, in high school, you're going to have to really dummy down your offensive and defensive schemes. You can't maximize doing multiple things, running multiple fronts on defense, or multiple coverages, or split field coverages like we run here, or multiple run plays, different pass schemes on offense. Like, it takes a lot of teaching. So taking a guy, just making him an offensive player and saying, this is all you need to know this year, for the most part, will make our team better, hopefully in November and December when it matters the most. The challenge there is two-way guys. So if you have intricate schemes and you have two-way guys, it's like, dude, my nose tackle is now my left guard. Is he really learning the schemes at that level? So that's where the challenge really, really comes in. I will say, Coach, one of the things that we are, I would say, extremely efficient at is in our team periods, there is not a lot of dead time. I swear by, and I since Hudl, basically, when Hudl came out, life-changing, saved, I don't know how many marriages across the country. Hudl saved marriages. So they were trying to upload film, and what they did was they saved coaches' marriages. But I know being able to watch film online, the number one thing that changed coaching in my 25 years as a head coach, hands down, not even close. But for me, the second piece of technology that's absolutely revolutionized how we practice is GoRout. And the reason why I say that is we draw our periods, we script our periods in Hudl, we match the video to it in Hudl, and then we draw the cards in Hudl. Okay. I will say Hudl could do a better job of that. Hopefully they're listening, and their card drawing software is not excellent, but having the practice script, having the play, drawing the card with the exact thing that they did on offense or defense, and then uploading that in a PDF into GoRout and having the kids just being able to look at that phone device and say, this is where I need to be, has allowed us in a 10-minute period to get 14 to 15 plays in. So we're not standing in the huddle anymore doing this stuff. I can sit there and talk to you on the sideline, coach, or be on a phone. I can hit a button and the team's running the play. You want to talk about practice efficiency? Like, I will say Hudl's a life changer overall, for sure. We all know that. But for us and how we practice, just the GoRout concept it's revolutionized how we run team periods, and it's made us way better. It's made us better. We swear by it. I can't even imagine running a practice at Serra without GoRout. And I also can't imagine running a practice at Serra without a drone filming everything. So if we want to be efficient and we want to keep things going, now I'm rambling, coach, sorry. We want to keep it in a 2-hour period. You have to film practice. You have to film it. My freshman coach, he's not allowed to use the drone. And our Meerkats are trained to fly the drones. So what does he do? He takes an iPad and a ladder and sticks a kid on it and films with an iPad and a ladder. Okay? There's no excuse, really. Everyone is a stadium. You can film with an iPad, upload it to GoRout. The things that get missed in practice, I can't imagine not filming practice. And that also gives us the comfort, coach, to be like, if it's a 10-minute period, it's a 10-minute period.
Yep.
And we got GoRoutes going. We have 14 plays scripted. We're running 14 plays. We'll coach off the film later. Okay. So to kind of add to that is after practice, we upload the film, and then our position coaches are required to watch the film and then break down each team period or individual period that's been filmed, and then send the notes to the players via Hub.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there, and those things being game changers. I know from a scout card perspective, I think everybody has a scout card binder nightmare that they could tell. I've got several, but it is a game changer. Being able to get that many plays, be that efficient, keep things organized is huge in practice. And, you keep the kids engaged. I think that's one of the most important things. You have to keep them engaged in what you're doing, and that technology does it. I would like to point out too, Coach has mentioned the Meerkats. I'm going to link the episode we did with Coach and a couple other coaches talking about how you build your support staff with student assistants. And I think Coach is one of the best in the country at doing that. So it's a great podcast to listen to. Even if you haven't set something up like this for the season, I think you could do it right now. Get 1 or 2 kids to help you out. So I'll link that episode in the podcast. Coach, I appreciate you taking time during this busy time of the year in season here. A big game coming up for you guys. Best of luck to you and Serra here as you get into the 2025 season.
Thank you, Keith. I appreciate you, man. Keep doing great work.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of The Art of Practice presented by GoRout. If you found value in this conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode. Visit GoRout.com to learn more and take your program to the next level.